Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Flying and Eating. Today, let's go somewhere and do something, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Hey guys, it's Adam here. In the previous couple episodes of Flying and Eating, I flew out to the West Coast, San Francisco specifically. My buddy Jesse picked me up. We went up to PAX West in Seattle, had a few days at the con. We hung out with our buddies Candace and Gene, who were cool enough to put us up in their house. And now we will attempt to brave the elements and cross the viscous maple curtain so that we may visit the fabled land of Canada.
Good morning. It is day 5, I think. The Polish party thing last night was pretty fun. We had a good time there hanging with Kelsey and her boyfriend, and we had all this great Polish food. It was awesome. Thanks again to them for this cool Cyberpunk t-shirt. So now we're doing something completely different. We're going up to Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. We've been there a couple times. In fact, on this channel, we've actually technically been there twice. Actually, technically, we've been there a bunch because we just kept walking around across the border. But for purposes of the video, we've really been there twice. So there's not really any great plan. It's just kind of like, we're going to go up there. We're going to meet up with Candace and Jean's friends, Gory and Amit, who are kind of our friends through, vicariously kind of through that. And we're going to go get some awesome Indian food because they know some great spots. And Indian food in Canada is way better than it is in the U.S., especially out in BC. So anything, we'll come up with other plans. We got other things we might come up and do, but what do you want to do? What are you thinking about?
I think we're gonna go look for some games.
So we like game hunting, in case that isn't obvious. Canada is not really known for a whole lot of exclusive stuff, but they have got some things. And so we're gonna go and try and find some of those things, just because it's fun. They have exclusive versions of the Xbox, original Xbox console, a few random games here and there. You never really know what you're gonna find, but also we might just get lucky and find stuff that isn't exclusive that just happens to be cheap. Okay, so we are pretty much at the border here. This is the Blaine entry point, which we've shown you before. This is the edge of America, and right here on the other side would be Canada. You can actually see those little cross lines there by the orange cones. Technically, that is the border. So we're about to watch this live. We're gonna go from America to the no-touching zone, and now we are technically in Canada. How cool is that? Now, if you'll excuse me, I gotta go because we gotta go through customs, and they do not like having cameras in their face. Okay, and we are now officially, legally speaking, completely inside of the Maple Empire.
Maple.
There you go, you see the Canadian flag everywhere. Now, I'm gonna give you guys little updates because it's been a minute since we've been up in Canada. I think both of us, this is our first time in 2022.
Yep.
And things have changed a little bit. Last time we were here, you needed to have a negative COVID test, and you had to have masks on when you got to the border, and you had to fill out Arrive Can. They dropped most of that. You still have to fill out Arrive Can, which is this really terrible app, but they never asked us for any paperwork or a QR code or anything. Now, it might just be tied to our IDs, I don't know. You still have to technically do that, but it seems like the Canadians are really starting to get more laxed on that, so the border crossing is starting to feel a lot more like it used to. And there you go. Welcome to British Columbia, the best place on earth, which I consider highly debatable, but hey, I'm gonna let them have that. All right, so now that we're back in Canada, this is kind of interesting. It's a different era, sort of, technically. So last time I was in Canada, Canada only bordered one country. They bordered the United States of America. Now, technically, they border 2. And the reason for that is there's a little island that was disputed up in the Arctic between Greenland, which is technically part of Denmark, and Canada. Neither side could really decide who it belonged to. It's called the Whiskey War. Well, very recently, at the time I'm making this video, the government's decided, let's just split the island down the middle. It's uninhabited, nobody really cares. But with current things changing in global environments, the Arctic Circle becoming more valuable, and frankly, NATO alliance is being stronger than ever, they felt like they had to settle this. And they did, amicably and peacefully. It's just that now, technically, Denmark and Canada border each other. So it's interesting, we're in a new era here in the Maple Empire.
This is an example of a British Columbia license plate, in case anybody was curious. So we are now at Willow Video. This is a cool little video game and movie store. Back there you can actually see a Toys R Us. Jesse, you excited? You are back in Canada. I see these feet, they're walking all over Canada. How do you feel? How does it feel?
It's great being back on Canadian soil.
Oh yeah. All right, so we're gonna go inside and see if we can find any Canadian exclusive cool things that we can liberate. Well, it didn't take long to find this. This is the Crystal clear Xbox. This version in North America was exclusive to Canada. This also came out in the UK, but the North American style version only exists in the Maple Empire. Alright, so we actually did pretty well in there. We got some stuff, obviously got that Xbox, and we're hoping to get more things later. Jesse got a bunch of stuff. But yeah, now what we're going to do is we're going to head over to Gory and Amit's house, get together with Candace and Jean, and then we'll all kind of figure out the food situation. So Candace got some McDonald's, and we've pointed this out in the past. McDonald's has a maple leaf in the center, and yep, there it is. You know you're in Canada. This is a great map of the area that we're in. Don't forget Point Roberts right there, that little part of the U.S. that we once visited. It's stuck over here. But yeah, we're currently in the Coquitlam area. It's interesting, this whole section, you know, with Canada here, this was settled hundreds of years ago. These islands were actually neutral ground for a number of years, but eventually the U.S. decided they wanted them, Canada decided they wanted them, and funny enough, you know who decided who these islands would belong to? Germany. Germany was a neutral party, and they decided all these islands belong to the United States. So that's why these islands here belong to the Americans today. Thanks, Germany. So we are at the Bombay Fine Indian Cuisine. This is what was recommended to us. An order has been placed. We're here to pick it up, and we're going to take it back to Gory and Amit's house and enjoy this. Okay, so this place smells amazing. Oh, and they've got the Indian buffet set up. Man. Yep. Incredible. I like the little menu here. We're gonna take that with us. Okay, so we all got these big dishes. These are like vegetarian combo dishes. With Indian food, I typically prefer vegetarian stuff. We've got all sorts of just random things. There's paneer in there, there's naan. I'm really looking forward to it. So we just left Gory and Amit's house. I'm sorry, I don't even think you guys got a chance to see them. Awesome people that live up in the Vancouver area. Very, very cool. The food we had was amazing. They recommended this place, and Amit was cool enough to actually pay for it, which is awesome. He didn't have to do that. What did you think?
I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, like every time you come up here, man, you just
every time it's always good.
Yeah, the amazing Indian food you can have in the Vancouver area, highly recommended. We definitely suggest that place. So we're here to do something that is absolutely mandatory when inside the Dominion of Canada. It's to show you the most egregious sin that this country ever committed on our species. Tim Hortons. Not Jesse, the thing behind Jesse. Tim Hortons is disgusting, it's vile, it's atrocious, and I say this unapologetically, it is horrific. You should never go there under any circumstances in any context. I don't care if you're homeless and you're on the verge of death, this is not worth your soul. Barf-inducing, nasty, nasty, terrible crap. Don't eat it. Bad. So we are here at the Real Canadian Superstore, which is kind of like a Canadian-only version of a Walmart. And you got flags up there. You got a Canadian flag, you got the British Columbia flag, which is a little interesting because I don't remember seeing the British Columbia flag this predominantly. Like, we've noticed it a lot on this trip, and I don't remember ever seeing it that much. Usually it was like 2 Canadian flags up there. But anyway, so we're going to go inside and see if we can find any weird little snacks and drinks and things that are unique to Canada. Shout out to Atlanta Dave, known for being a peach. These are your Canadian brothers. OMG! Yeah, you can tell those are exclusively Canadian, little maple leafs there. You got O. Henry things are still around. We got the Reese's edition of it. Obviously, it's a lot of like American style stuff, but there's some subtle differences and ones that usually don't really exist or exist in other parts of the world like Europe, but we don't ever get. In the US, I should say. Look at that, Hershey's got a birthday cake bar here. I'm sure it's just as terrible as their normal candy bars. This is kind of interesting. You guys remember those coffee Coca-Colas? Well, up here they have them. But what's interesting is they use the real sugar. So you have the real sugar coffee, vanilla, and real sugar coffee, dark blend Coca-Cola. So I actually bought one of each. I want to try this out. Canadians are pretty good about potato chip flavors that are exclusive. Usually they actually have the made in Canada thing on them. This one's Magic Masala. This is, caters to the fact there's a large Indian population. These are really good. This one I've never seen before. This clearly is for some, probably Chinese, but I'm not totally sure. Obviously an Asian culture. The chicken and tomato combo. Haven't had that, but I bet it's very good, and it's also Canadian. We also have some of the better known ones, the all dressed up ones, which are actually good, and then the ketchup ones, which is a great idea, but horrible in execution. Like, seriously, these are disgusting. Okay, it's time to try these Coca-Cola coffee things, specifically the vanilla flavor. So, I don't know, dive in. Cheers. It's actually not bad. What do you think?
Pretty good.
Very vanilla and very Coca-Cola and very coffee. It's better than the American one. I don't know what else to tell you.
A few sips in, I can definitely taste the difference with the real sugar. It's very good.
Yeah, you would know. I mean, you drink more Coca-Cola than I do.
But yeah, I agree with him. I think that it's pretty good. They have a couple of flavors. We'll try the dark one later. I didn't notice the other ones though, like, because in the US there were 4 flavors. Here I only saw 2. There might be more. I'm just telling you what I saw. So Vancouver is kind of an interesting city because it's really Canada's only city on the west coast of the continent. I mean, obviously there's smaller ones, but if you think of what is the Canadian west coast, it's pretty much defined by Vancouver. But then you have this odd gap because of the way Canada is laid out. And, you know, despite its massive size, it doesn't have a whole lot of population centers. So the next one of any real, I mean, honestly, of any global significance, you have to go all the way out to Toronto and Montreal and Ottawa, which is obviously nowhere near here. So it's, despite the fact that it's obviously connected and it's obviously one big landmass, it almost feels like an island unto itself of Vancouver culture. Now, obviously, there's towns in between, and like Regina, and you have Saskatoon, and you have Winnipeg, and all that. But those are just kind of, and as was described to me when I was in Winnipeg, they're really just, there had to be something there, but they're kind of like the equivalency of Midwest American towns, whereas this is like Canadian LA, Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, all wrapped into one. So at this point, we're at like our 4th value village.
Yes.
We've actually been doing surprisingly well. I don't think we found one yet where we didn't find something to buy. Actually, that's not true. The second one, we did find something. He just didn't want to wait in line because it wasn't really worth it. But other than that, it would have been bought if the line was shorter. So I'm gonna count it. But yeah, value village number 4 here. Let's go find some more crap. So inside, you can see, obviously, just miscellaneous goods. I figured I should probably show you what these things look like. Jesse's scoping out a laptop right now that I just stumbled across. Maybe I'll show you what we picked up later. So we let this kind of sit for a little bit while we were in the store shopping. This stuff actually tastes a lot better when it's kind of aired out a little bit. Less carbonation, it's amazing. This is really good, actually. So we're in what might be like Chinatown part of to Vancouver. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it just kind of sprang up everywhere. Very cool, though. Probably a lot of really good restaurants out here, honestly. Here we are at the next one, the next value village. Of course, Canada spells center with an R-E. Did you even notice that?
What?
Certain differences, the idiom differences, like how Canada spells center, R-E, like British style.
I pointed it out on the first one we went to.
Oh, right on. Yeah, it's the U.S. is actually the odd one out because we're the ones that typically don't do it that way. We don't use the extra superfluous U and the word color and stuff like that. But in Czech, spelled with a Q here.
Yeah.
So here's something really bizarre. This is an entire row of like pirated Blu-rays, clearly like Asian produced. This is really cool. This, like, the cases are different. It's like a thick plastic. The color is different. This is like it compared to, say, like an American one or Canadian one, whatever, the lighter dark blue. But inside you can see this. 25 gig, full HD. I'm gonna show. It's also a BDR. You can tell because it's clearly been written to. It's not it's not a press disc at all. Yeah, that's really cool. And then they also have a whole bunch of VCDs. I mean, you remember this movie, Stuck It On You, the weird Farrelly Brothers comedy, where they have a VCD of it, a pirated VCD of Stuck On You. Ghost Dad on VCD. I just noticed there's another whole row of VCDs up here. Look at this. They've got a section here. These are like entire TV shows on VCD. Nice. This is insane. So where we are right now in this area of Vancouver could best be described as like a little Asian district. Like, not so much this specific spot, but you'll see a lot of Asian culture stuff around. We were actually at a store earlier that had a lot of Asian movies and pirated DVDs and things like that. You'll see a lot of Asians that live here. Now, my favorite game franchise of all time is a game called Shenmue. And in that game, there's a character named Nozomi who is, we'll just call her the girlfriend of the main character, Ryo Hazuki. In the game, you find out she moved to Canada, specifically Vancouver, and logic would dictate she probably ended up in this area because of its, within game, she doesn't speak English or anything. So a lot of foreigners that come from Asia to live in this part of Canada, typically from Asia, would live in this area. Now, the reason I'm showing you this specific spot called Katsusan is that a few years ago, this was actually a completely different place called Nozomi Sushi. It is the only thing with the name Nozomi in Vancouver. In fact, it's the only thing with the name Nozomi in it until you get down to like the San Francisco Bay Area. So within my mind's eye, I like to believe that the character, because she would have been here in 1987,
came here and opened up a place called Nozomi Sushi that once was right there. I just want to say thank you, Canada, for just maple sushi. Just, wow. Thank you for making that exist. You're writing the material for me. So our time in the Maple Empire is coming to an end. Most things are about to close, so one thing that was open that we absolutely loved the last time we were here is this place, Chutney's. It's basically like an Indian version of Subway, but instead of sandwiches, they do burritos. This blew our minds last time. Like, we only had it originally because it was available. Now we want it. Now, to be fair, we have to do it right now because it is still available and other things are closed, but this place is amazing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This is like one of the few things on the channel where we're like, we got to go back there. But in this case, we're kind of forced to, but still happy. We're happy that's going to happen.
I've been dreaming about this, and so now
It's like the better part of
it's
like the better part of a year, son. I apologize for how dark this footage is, but we're on our way to the last Value Village before it closes, so you know, no choice. The burrito is quite good. It's got chicken, it's got rice, it's got vegetables, it's got different types of chutney flavors, hence the name Chutney's, of course. It's really very good. I'm very happy with this. What a day, man! We ended up striking 100 at every single store. One of us got at least one thing. To be fair, it was usually Jesse. He kicked a lot of ass on this, but I got a couple things, some stuff, good stuff. One thing in particular is amazing. So the final Canadian pickup of the night. Look at this. I found the marshmallow Coca-Cola. We'll try this later and see how horrible it is.
We're about to head back. Technically, actually, we get to use we're going to Peace Arch this time. Do you remember Peace Arch?
I remember Peace Arch.
That's good. Yeah, we did a whole video on Peace Arch. You can check it all out. But basically, it's this cool little park that the Americans and the Canadians built right at the edge of the continent. That is one of the few spots where you can just freely walk across the border in this mutual park. However, beyond the park on both sides, you actually can't. You have to go through the customs process. But we're about to... yeah, no, you can see, oh, by the way, you can see duty-free stores as we bail here. This is, you know, kind of cool because you don't actually have the no-touching zone over here, which is kind of the infamous thing, but that's the whole point of it. Yeah, there's a lot of speed bumps along the way, trying to slow you down. Boom, 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 boom. But yeah, we'll get you a nice shot of the arch itself in a second. Right beyond here. Hopefully they've got it lit up. They usually do. There it is back there, and the arch itself runs right through the border. So one side of it is, you know, just American, and the other side is Canadian. You can actually see a bunch of people trying to get into Canada right over there. Yeah, and then right to the right there is the Pacific Ocean. So yeah, that is where the frontier ends, as it were. And there's the park right there. So we are still technically in Canada. That is about to end. It is still funny to me that the park is considered closed on the Canadian side, even though the arch makes mention of the fact that this should never close. But here it is. You see this, how the color changes right there? We are now back in the United States of America.
Freedom!
Freedom! Oh, God. I dropped all the shackles there. I felt like a slave. Anyway, yeah, so we gotta go and actually clear customs. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay, we are officially beyond customs, and we're gonna head back into Seattle. No real incident there. He was just, you know, did his job, looked at the car, asked what we had, you know, coming in. Actually, one thing he asked that was kind of interesting is he asked the dollar amount that we might have spent. I didn't really know, to be totally honest, so I just said that, and he just kind of ignored it and moved on. The reason he would ask that, though, is technically if you spend over like $800 on stuff, USD, and you're bringing that back, you technically have to pay a fee. But I mean, I've been told by other border guards, just either don't know the number or just admit that it was less. They don't want to do the paperwork, but every once in a while they will ask about it. Although in this case I was being completely serious. I actually don't know. I know it wasn't $800 though. Good morning. I think it's day 6. Honestly, I'm not even sure anymore. Our trip has essentially ended. It is now time for us to go back. He's got to go back to California, where apparently it's basically on fire. Not literally this time. It's just hot as hell. and I'm going back to Chicago. The flight route, though, I'm going to end up at PDX in Portland's airport and fly home from there. Now, I know I owe you guys a little bit of a follow-up here, so we're going to partake. This is that marshmallow Coca-Cola that we got earlier. Now, this has come out in the U.S. I want to make that very clear. You can get this here, although I've never seen it anywhere. But this is different because the Canadian one doesn't use high fructose corn syrup. It uses real sugar. So I have no basis for comparison. Maybe I should have got that Dream World Peach Coca-Cola, the real sugar version, but I didn't. Oh well, we'll try this. Bottoms up. So it also says that it has watermelon strawberry flavor on it. I don't know why they call it marshmallow. It does taste more like watermelon strawberry.
I think Marshmallow is an actual music artist.
Oh! I don't know music, kind of famously, so that would make a lot more sense all of a sudden, wouldn't it? Actually, this is pretty good. I like this. The artist Marshmallows. I just assumed it was marshmallow flavored. Oops! See, read more, kids. I didn't. Okay, so given time constraints, we can't really show you all the stuff Jesse got, so I thought he would tell you about some of these things.
So our pickups, while here in Canada, I ended up with 2 Xbox 360s. One was $20 Canada, the other one was $10. Also, on our last couple of stops before going back to Seattle, I found a complete in box, very fresh Wii for $19 Canadian, which is $16 or $17 US.
Not even, it's like 15.
And also at at one of the other Asian Value Village locations, I found a very rare keyboard that went to a Sony Vaio all-in-one machine that I have. So now I can complete it. I'm pretty excited about that. And that was only $14 Canadian. And a bunch of little odds and ends that we found, like those bootleg CDs. Those were pretty cool.
He also picked up some HD DVDs.
That's right. I've been adding to my HD DVD collection.
Yeah.
Which is worthless, but
it's just fun to collect.
It's just fun to collect for, yeah. Some pretty rare ones that we normally haven't seen out on the shelves.
Yeah, on myself, I got, it wasn't at a Value Village, but I got that Crystal Xbox. I also got a Sega Genesis Model 1, which was pretty cool to see. The high definition graphics model. A couple of cables and just things I needed, but just stuff, basically. We got stuff. We're nearing the airport, so I have to get rid of this. This is the Coca-Cola Canadian Dark Blend with coffee. I'm gonna this is my last little burst of caffeine before we get to the airport, so let's see how this turns out.
Real sugar.
Real sugar. Oh, that's actually really good. Yeah, I mean, sugary, duh. But I remember liking the American one, but this one's definitely better because less chemicals. Not good for you. I'm painfully unaware of that, but hey, what the hell? Right now we are crossing over the bridge into Oregon. On the left of the frame is Washington State. On the right is Oregon. The adventure has come to an end. I am now at PDX Airport. I've checked in for my flight. I even managed to be the good boyfriend. I picked up some maple syrup that I'm going to bring out to Portugal. Spoilers, I'm going to Portugal. So I checked it in a box, and let's hope it survives. But anyway, yeah, so now we gotta go find the clear lane and head through security and make the flight because they start boarding in like 20 minutes. Actually, I want to point something else out that's bizarre. I've never seen this before. If it's too loud, if it bothers you, they give away free earplugs. Props to Portland. Keep Portland weird. Okay, so this hasn't changed since like a year ago when I was last at PDX. Despite time for free earplugs, they haven't bothered to integrate clear yet. So we're just going to go back to basic TSA pre-check. It's okay, the line's not too bad. Okay, I'm through security, no problems whatsoever. So now we just leisurely walk over to the flight and hang out for like 10 minutes. I should mention that I will be actually back here in like a month for Portland Retro Game Expo. So you'll see a lot of familiar faces and a lot of familiar scenery very soon. But just a little pre-show, if you will. If you're curious, what is the big food in Portland? What should I do if I'm ever there? What do I eat? Adam, you eat so many weird things. What do I get? What's the fancy thing in Portland? Coffee. Seems to be their thing.
I found the United Club. Let's go in and get some food, drinks, and relax for a little bit for all of like 2 minutes. This one's kind of swanky. You have to walk in, there's an elevator, there's a staircase. I've opted to walk because I'm fat and I need some exercise. But this is my first time ever in this particular United Club. Looks nice. It's kind of small, but there's also nobody really in it, which is great. And employees and bathrooms. That's what we need. So we got a little desserts area, we've got soup, and we've got sandwiches. Nice little area. Not one of the bigger ones, but very comfortable. And this is what I'm gonna rock. An oatmeal raisin cookie and a little turkey sandwich, because my flight is already boarding. That was one of the best oatmeal raisin cookies I've ever had in my life. Don't know why. Also got a double espresso. Very good. Now, let's go fly home. And I'm back here in Chicago. It's been a long, wonderful adventure, but I'm very exhausted and I need to get home and get some sleep. Before I do that though, I'm going to stop in there and get some free dinner, because why not? So thank you guys very much for watching. As always, I appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed the series of videos, and as always, stay tuned to the next round. And if you could do me a favor, go into the description, hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, Patreon, etc. Follow me on all those places. Thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all later.